prices. This is what everyone always wants to see. At the beginning of last year, my thought process on pricing was that pricing should increase in 2024. That was something that was really based on this ongoing problem that we've had of inventory. We haven't had enough homes to sell people, combined with a lot of other issues, but that in itself should have led us to higher price points. Those that are homeowners, I think, are going to be very happy with the results. Those who are not homeowners, who are trying to be homeowners, are probably going to be a little frustrated. Dan, how is this?
I mean, as we saw with our clients that purchased in the first half, kind of Q1 last year, when it got around to being able to refinance, they saw a notable appreciation with their values, right? And that's kind of what we spoke about. We kind of speak about it every, like Q4, Q1, right? It's people that want to wait, typically pay for it in the end, right? They're worried about rates, but the value of the house going up is what's going to hit you more than a little bit of a rate increase.
So we saw on average last year in all of those different types of properties in all of those areas, we saw an 8.7% increase. That's huge. That's huge for our markets. Now, once again, that's not every home out there, but the market in general took a giant step forward. Now, that step, as we've talked about, just like you said, twofold. Number one, we don't have enough homes to sell people, but it's such a good learning piece for our clients, right? We have that conversation all the time. Those that are kind of sitting on the fence, waiting, not wanting to pay a premium, not wanting to get competitive, not wanting to pay the interest rates, the market is increasing at that point in time. So even if things slow down a little bit, the numbers are really, really not as favorable to them.
Yeah, I think, and it's the market passes you by, right? I mean, if you wait for whatever reason is, sometimes you have to wait,
Absolutely.
right? It might be a school thing where kids need to be out of school
100%.
Before you do something. But if you don't have that and you just simply want to wait to see where the market goes, I mean, Chicago's a fast moving city, right? It's gonna move, and
we like to move and shake.
Yeah, it's gonna move on you, right?
No, it's so true. And I love what you said in there, because as anybody that's ever watched the show, it's not right for everybody to buy right now. And trust me, this time of year, we have so many conversations for what we call our move-up buyers who are going to sell something, who we actually project and target a slower time of year, right? There are some people that come to us right now that we're going to say, hey, let's reconnect in Q3. There are always strategies. There's always reasons. But if somebody is active and wanting to be in this market, at least in the foreseeable future, we know that because of the conditions, because of what we're in, that the likelihood of things going forward positive is quite high. And I say it to my clients all the time. The last thing I want to do is be talking in a year, and in a year that maybe you've saved up some more money and the interest rate has dropped, but we're still looking at the same house that we were a year ago, even though you're in a better financial position.
Yeah, I think, it's people that want to do something and maybe want to push it off to the middle of the year. Just be flexible with it.
Yeah.
Because rates might drop, right? Who knows? Something might happen that causes you to all of a sudden start looking, right? Because I mean, how many times have somebody we talked to that they're at Q3, all of a sudden in Q1, they're like, holy cow, we found our place. We got to go. And we're closing in 20 days.
We have a saying, and it's meant very compassionately, but we say that buyers are liars.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not meaning the bad thing. It's meaning that they have an idea and then something compels them off of it. And you're so right, is that we will have these conversations this time of year, and then we'll put together a timeline, and then somebody will say, hey, Amanda, I just popped in an open house and this place is it. Let's go now.
Yeah. You laugh. You want to say something to them, right? You want to say, oh, I thought you weren't buying until Q3. But it's, you're happy for them and they're ready to go. And it's just with us together. It's bang, 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 and let's do it.
So we're starting off the report card as an A+ student. Prices, we expected them to go up, and not only did they go up, I'd even say they went up probably even a little bit more than expected.
Yep.
So first and foremost, what everyone is so curious about, what is going to happen to pricing in 2025? Dan, what say you?
My vote is up, right? I think prices are going to go up, and there's a lot to do with it, right? From the mortgage person, rates stay steady, even if they bounce a little bit, right? Like if it's more of a slopes versus cliffs, we're going to see prices go up.
No, I think you're 100%. And I think that there's so much invested in that. I think, right, if interest rates perform well, We have a lot of people that have, in my opinion, been getting not so good advice and waiting, but they're going to jump into the market. We're still going to have limited inventory. That's going to push the pricing up. We have to understand that the election is behind us, so that any pause from that, any lack of confidence or whatever it is, that's going to be behind us. And whatever your political preference is, most people know mine, but we're not going down that road right now. Whatever your political preference is, we tend to see that real estate performs well the year after an election. In the last 11 elections, real estate performed positively in 10 of them. 10 out of 11. That's a huge number. And once again, whether you like him or hate him, insert bubble here, whether you like him or hate him, Trump is a real estate guy. Trump is a real estate guy, and he likes to borrow money. And he also likes to be popular. You add all those things together, that's a sector that he's done well in. I think that there's going to be support in that. Now, I think some of the people will question, how will this tariff aspect really implement anything? If those get implemented, what are we going to see from a real estate perspective? Dan, do you think there's going to be any upfront pushback on that?
Yeah, if tariffs are implemented from where they're, on whom they're implemented, right? If the administration puts tariffs on Canada.
Yeah, lumber.
What I think it's something like 70% of our lumber comes from Canada, right? So there you go. Your cost to build, right? Skyrockets. Your cost to rehab skyrockets. Right. So
these are not costs that developers are just going to absorb.
Correct. Yeah, nothing. No developer will ever absorb anything. But when the administration comes in, if they do everything they say they want to do, it'll have a devastating effect in our world, right? So being a real estate guy, and he's, putting people into place that are they understand the market more than just throwing out, we're going to tariff everybody. Yeah. I think it's going to be, the tariff piece of it's going to be a little muted. Yep. Right? So yes, if it goes in, prices will, skyrocket for those kinds of things. But if they don't, he could also decide, or the administration can also decide, we're not going to do any of this. Of course. Right? Let's come to an agreement on something, blah, blah, blah.
I think the other thing that will be interesting for us to watch is how the decoupling of the commissions from the NAR settlement have impact on our pricing. Now, what we've seen thus far, right? We're 4 or 5 months into this now, because it started technically before it really started, is that we're seeing very little impact on it, just increased discussions. But I know I have a lot of my cash investors that we're doing some pretty creative things on, so that realistically, we could see that kind of impede our results at the end of the year. That's a little bit of, in my mind, it's a little bit of a question mark of how this goes into place.
Yeah. And I think if we go back to like the administration piece, the deportation piece will have number one, GDP will be impacted, right, on a grand scheme. But in real estate, labor costs are going to skyrocket too, right? Huge. So there's, again, just because they say they're going to do things doesn't mean at the end of the day that they're really going to do what they say that they're going to do. Much like
that would be a novel concept.
Go figure, it's politics.
Right. Okay, so we both agree that a year from now, we will be sitting here, and that pricing, we will talk about it in a positive sense, that it will have gone up.
Yes.